Okay, so we made our first CSS rule in the last lesson. Now I want to talk to you about what CSS is. CSS is also known as, or CSS stands for, cascading style sheets. And there's different ways to implement CSS into our HTML documents. We've already talked about linking to external style sheets. This is what we've been doing with the custom.css file. And then the other way, so let's go ahead and another way is you can do internal style sheets in the header section, and you can just follow along here to see. So we can do style here. This is an internal style sheet. You'll also see the text align centered there. Or another way you could do it is to give the style inline. So we'll just go to this div with a class of Jumbotron, say style equals text align center. So those are the three different ways you can implement CSS into your website. Now, it's called cascading because you can have a number of different style sheets, as we have, two different ones up here, cascading into one virtual style sheet. So let me show you what I mean by that. So remember how we had Jumbotron text align center right here, okay? Now I want to give all font in Jumbotron a color of, actually this will be easier represented. So we have this button here. We have a button large with a font size of 18 pixels, and that's in the Bootstrap document. So we have the Bootstrap document, and we have our custom.css document here. So I'm going to create a button large class, and I'm going to give it a font size of 24 pixels. Okay? So it's currently 18 pixels. Now I want to change it to 24. See how it got bigger? And now that 18's marked out, and now it's 24 pixels. All right. So this right here is saying 18 pixels. This is saying 24 pixels. Now, what if we created this style sheet? No, get out of there. We don't want that margin bottom there. So we want to do dot button LG. We want to give it font size 36 pixels. Now save it. Come over here, it's gotten even bigger, 36 pixels. So it's cascading down, and this is saying button large should be 18 pixels, so it has that as a rule. Goes through that document. Oh, then it goes to the custom CSS document saying it should be 24 pixels. So now, at this point, button large 24 pixels, and then it comes to our internal style sheet and says 36 pixels. So let me show you something. Right here, remember, this style sheet has it as 24 pixels. And currently, it's 36. So save that. Now, it's back down to 24 pixels. So whatever it reads through last, because it's cascading, is what is the final CSS rule that stands in place. All right, so let's put this back. And actually, you can see now why we can overwrite rules and that Bootstrap has pre-done for us in their CSS documents. So I think actually we want this font size here for button large to be 36 pixels. So we're going to take this out. We're going to change this to 36 pixels. All right, so we've gone over cascading of CSS, and now I want to talk about specificity. I know, not an easy word to say, but basically, as we're saying, all these different style sheets are coming in and all these different styles are coming in, and they have the cascading nature of it, but also there's specificness of the rules. So, in other words, if I say here that Jumbotron, all the text in it should be red, all right? So let's come over here. It's now 36 pixels, and all the text is red, okay? So everything in the Jumbotron, or the div with the class of Jumbotron, text is going to be red, okay? So now I can come over here and say, okay, well, I don't want, this paragraph to be red. I want it to be blue. So Jumbotron, the paragraph in the Jumbotron, I want the color to be blue. All right, so now it's blue. So this blue overrides this red because this is a more specific CSS rule. So, this is for any HTML element within a, parent element that has a class of Jumbotron is red, but this is saying, okay, well, to be more specific, we want any paragraph that is, a child element of a parent element with the class of Jumbotron to be blue. So that's more specific, so that wins. And then remember earlier how I told you there's another way to do inline styling. This is the most specific you can get. So we're going to come here. We're going to say color equals green. And so now we should see this turn green. There you go. So specificity is kind of hard to wrap your head around, and there's a lot of people that program out there and they don't even know what it means and what the scores are on the specificity of a CSS rule, and they get along fine because you can always see like, hey, did it turn green? No, okay, I'm not doing something right. Let me make it more specific. But this gets you a starting point to see the more specific you make a rule, the higher priority it's going to have. So you understand a lot more CSS than most people do that build websites right now. So let's turn all this back to what we want it to be. Save that. Let's take out this blue. Let's take out this color here. And everything should be back to where we have it. Awesome. And I wanted to teach you about cascading and specificity because, well, now you know all the different ways to implement CSS into your website, but you can see, like, in order to, put it in line or put it at the top of the page, say you wanted to create, like, if you put it in line, say you wanted to create another paragraph for that same, styling rules. Well, you'd have to, then copy those styling rules, the CSS rules, into the next paragraph. Or say you wanted to create a new document, link to another document in the website. When you have your style sheet up here, you'd have to, copy whatever style was up here in the top. So the most effective way, and the way I recommend, to put in your CSS into a website is through an external style sheet like we're doing here. And, through explaining specificity to you, you can solve the problems of, hey, I thought this paragraph was going to be blue and it's red. Why is that? So you can look into the specificity ranking of that CSS rule and learn to fix it. So I recommend putting all your CSS in external style sheets. As your site gets more complex and you want to make, one major change or one minor change, say, you had all your style here in the different paragraph tags, the different H2 tags, and you wanted to make one change and make the text just a little bit bigger. where you'd have to go back into every H2 tag that you had style on and change it. Or you'd have to go into every page if you had it in an internal style sheet and change it. Whereas if you just have it in one external style sheet that all your documents link to, then all you have to do is make one quick little change right here. You can change padding bottom to 25 pixels, and boom, it goes uniform across the whole site and across all the elements that pertain to that styling rule. So we've learned about CSS. Let's move on to making this section look more like our one main line site.